After the initial difficulties, the development of the missionary center took on even greater dimensions. At his ordination in 1876, Ansa cut the first turf for the current missionary center of St. Michael. Every pupil who came here, enthusiastic to become a missionary, learnt not only how to work with books, he also learnt how to build. Every pupil was taught a trade. As much as Jansen turned out to be an excellent organizer, he began each stage of construction without any money. Even if we don't possess perhaps 1/20th of the amount we need for this construction, we'll dare do it nevertheless. Not only his faith in God could Jansen thank for the enormous growth, more and more lay brothers were joining him in his work. In 1878, he opened the first novitiate for brothers. He knew that mission work is not just a matter of theology, not only construction work, but also the logistical needs of the ever-increasing number of students and teachers offered many tradesmen the chance to serve in their own fields. The first chapter general of the order laid down that the lay brothers belonged to the religious order fully and completely, and made the same vows as the clerics. Rome, the center of the world church, and so mission control for all missionary efforts. In 1878, Jansen presented his plans to the Pope. In Latin, he explained to the head of the church on earth what he intended to do with his missionary center. Leo XIII gave the young undertaking his blessing. To ensure cooperation with the Vatican authorities, Jansen soon considered it necessary to set up a location in the Eternal City. The growing demand for teachers of philosophy and theology in the missionary center led him to found a college in Rome. His natural brother took over as its head. On the way back from his first visit to Rome, Jansen stopped off in Brixen. In the seminary, he met someone who was interested in his missionary center, Josef Freinademetz. Together with Ansa, Freinademetz would become one of the first missionaries Jansen would send out into the world. In 1879, they both set out for China. First, Ansa and Freinademetz sailed to Hong Kong to gain experience of China with the apostolic prefect Raimondi. 2 years later, Jansen got his own mission area in the south, in the province of Shantung. The area given up by the Franciscans had seen very little previous missionary activity. Among a population of 9 million, and in a region the size of Bavaria, there were only 200 Christians in 3 villages. There were not yet any churches. On Jansen's suggestion, Ansa was appointed the apostolic vicar, and a short time later, bishop. At the same time, Jansen made him the first provincial superior of China. Even though Jansen sent both support from home, the beginnings were often grueling and hard. Besides the difficulty of being accepted by the Chinese, it became clear that their missionary activities were taking place in an area affected by great power rivalry. Initially, France had guaranteed the safety of the China mission, but Germany was pushing harder and harder to take over this guarantee for the German missionaries, in order to spread its influence in China. The anger of the Chinese towards the foreign powers was growing. In this atmosphere seething with hatred, 2 missionaries of the divine word were murdered. Freinader Metz sent a telegram to Jansen, Henle and Nice murdered. The lines rose to importance in international politics. Kaiser Wilhelm occupied the Kiao Tishu Bay under the pretext of having to protect his fellow countrymen. This would become the starting point for the least German colony in China. As well as the severe political tests, there came internal difficulties. The first bishop of the SVD order, of all people, proved to be more and more of a problem. His fellow brothers in the order suffered under his leadership style and way of life. Jansen tirelessly stepped in as mediator time and time again, attempting an impossible balancing act between China and style. Not until the bishop died and Freinader Metz took over the province did peace return. Although the beginnings in China were marked by trial and tribulation, they soon started to bear fruit. In 1908, the province had over 45,000 new converts, and the same number waiting to be baptized. For the 57 SVD fathers, 17 brothers, and 30 missionary sisters, it was an amazing missionary achievement. There were 141 churches and chapels. Jansen could be satisfied. The archives of the Generalate in Rome. In the present-day global headquarters of the Order, Father Franz Boshold looks after the majority of Arnold Jansen's original documents. The volume of correspondence which Jansen left for posterity is immense.
Hier ist eines der Korrespondenzbücher, die Arnold Jansen für jedes Haus.
Here's one of the correspondence books which Arnold Jansen kept for every center and every mission. First the draft, and then he would write additions here, while reading them through. That's how he worked.
Durchlesen hat dann hier Ergänzungen geschrieben, so hat gearbeitet.
Jansen meticulously recorded every detail of his correspondence. He spent days at his writing desk, staying in contact with his missionaries, with his centers, with church and state authorities.
Hat sich unheimlich viel Mühe gemacht.
He took an incredible amount of trouble, and given all the other work he was doing, I asked myself how he managed to write more than 5,000 letters in this way. But as comprehensive as his correspondence was, Jansen still relied on his old recipe for success. He spoke to people face to face. Three times he travelled to audiences with the Austrian Emperor. In his luggage he had crystal clear plans. His work should become established in Austria as well. After 6 years of struggling with the authorities, his preparatory work finally paid off. In 1889, St. Gabriel, near Vienna, could be consecrated as a further missionary training centre. Jansen had even taken on Austrian citizenship for the project. The undertaking started with 49 students, who were taught by 4 priests. Jansen was to see the day when almost 400 fathers and brothers and trainee missionaries would live in the centre. The founding of the centre in Austria was for Jansen not only an expansion in the south, but also a kind of corrective action. He noted, "It is good when our fathers, those who come from the West, with here and there perhaps a little too much Prussian drive and efficiency in them, learn from the warm-hearted, friendly and approachable nature of the Austrians. It'll do them no harm for when they later have to deal with people in the missions.